Welcome to episode 275 of Real Health Radio. You can find the show notes and the links talked about as part of this episode at 7, so the word all spelled out, SEVEN health.com/275. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Real Health Radio. I'm your host, Chris Sandel. I'm a nutritionist and a coach, and I help clients to fully recover. Before we get started, I want to mention that next week I'm going to be reopening my practice to new clients. And my passion is helping clients reach a place of full recovery, even if the eating disorder has been present for many years or decades. And it probably goes without saying, but eating disorders create many problems. There are obviously the physical symptoms, so digestive issues, feeling cold, osteoporosis or osteopenia, period stopping, anemia, hair falling out, frequent urination day and night, sleep issues, the reduction of concentration or ability to focus or even just to sit down and read a book. There are psychological problems that occur. The fear of certain foods, the fear of weight gain, of taking time off exercise, the increased rigidity or obsessional thinking. But I think most importantly, and the area that has the biggest impact, is the quality of life. The isolation and disconnection that it causes, the lack of freedom to truly do as you want to do, the constant fear and anxiety that isn't just about food, but infiltrates so many aspects of life. And yes, an eating disorder can be a solution to many of life's problems, a sense of control, a way to avoid uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. But it's a solution that makes life much smaller. And it's a solution that often started many, many years ago when you were much younger and is no longer serving you in the way that it once was. And that you want to change this, even if there is fear and ambivalence and uncertainty about what this means. And I truly believe in full recovery, and it's what I help clients to achieve. Improving their physical health and seeing changes that they thought were impossible. For example, I had a client last week have her period return after 20 years, something she didn't believe was going to happen. Or changes in psychology and beliefs and learning to sit with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings and seeing that you are able to tolerate this and you are able to still make choices that are in alignment with your values and the life that you truly want to live. Where you can feel present with a partner or with your kids in a way that you haven't been able to be able to set boundaries, even if this feels uncomfortable, to get back the precious time that the eating disorder is costing you each and every day, and to feel powerful and excited about this new life and what is possible. So if you want to experience these changes in your life, I would love to help. Please send an email over to info@7-health with the subject line coaching, and I can then send over further details and we can have a recovery strategy call. I only have 7 spots available, and it's likely that this will be the last time that I take on clients for this year. So if you want this, then please get in contact. The email address again is info@7-health.com. So this week, I am doing a life update, and this is the 8th time of doing one of these. The last one was back in February 2022. So it has been a while, and a lot has happened in that time. And the first thing that I want to mention is that we moved up to Scotland. And I mentioned this in December time when I released the end of year review of like favorite books and favorite music and all that kind of thing. And yeah, we moved up here in December time, so just over 6 months ago. And when we moved up here, the whole place was covered in snow and it looked like we'd moved to a ski village. Whereas now it is actually very sunny and is very green and is glorious, really. And I've really enjoyed the move up here, and we all have. Me, Ali, Ramsay have really enjoyed being up here. We're enjoying the summer, and I think one of the things, it wasn't a big reason for moving up here, but it was one of the things that I reflected upon last summer, was that once the temperature gets above about 21, 22 degrees, it's not particularly pleasant in the UK. It's fine if you're lying on a beach or if you're somewhere where it makes sense for it to be warm. But up here or in the UK, it just, from my perspective, it doesn't. And anything above that just becomes pretty uncomfortable and not very enjoyable. And so it's been nice we've had a beautiful summer so far. And most of the time it's maxing out at like 22 or 23 degrees, which is perfect and exactly what I want. We've been super lucky with the house that we got. It was where we kind of sold our place down in Surrey and then wanted to just rent up here to start with because we weren't exactly sure where we wanted to be. We weren't exactly sure what we wanted in a house. And so we have rented, and there wasn't much available when we were looking to rent, but we really feel like we got really lucky with the place that we have. It's a really nice house in about, I think we got 3.5 or 4 acres, but it's just nestled into the hills. It's super private. There are other houses that are around here, but when we were in our place, we don't see or really hear anyone. We've had, I'll talk about the fact that I've had my parents come recently. I've had some friends come up here a number of times and stay with us. And everyone is just, really blown away with how kind of beautiful it is around here. Like as I'm talking, I'm kind of just looking out the window and it's just stunning scenery with, big, tall, Christmas type trees everywhere. And it's really nice to be here. And there's something very lovely about the feel of the house and the land and just kind of being outside and being able to enjoy it. And one of the things that is also nice about it is we have the possibility of being able to buy this house. And it was on the market to sell before we rented it. And so, we're going to kind of just see how things continue to go. We're in no rush with this, but it's nice to know that is an option. And it is now feeling very much like home. And so I think it was like the February time, we got some chickens. So we now have 4 chickens, which is lovely. It's really nice every day to walk out and to be able to collect fresh eggs. They just roam around the property. So they're sort of just having a really nice time just exploring around. Recently, Ali has got a couple of horses. So she bought a horse, and then she has a companion horse on loan, because if you don't know anything about horses, they are herd animals, and so you don't just have the one. And it's lovely to just have horses on our land, and there's stables here already, and for her to be able to just kind of potter around and play with them and be with them. This is something that is a huge passion of hers and something that she's done all of her life. And so she'd always kind of dreamed of being able to have it on her own property. Every other time previously, she had to have it somewhere else. And it's just a lovely change that she's able to experience that. We've found people up here are really friendly. It's been a really big, I was going to say shock, but not a shock, because I think I'd known that from my experiences of coming up here previously, but just how obvious the contrast is from I mean, definitely from living in London, but even when we were living in the countryside down in England, there isn't the same kind of friendliness and openness that we've experienced while being up here. And so it definitely feels like we're making friends and finding our community and finding the people that we want to spend time with. And we've kind of gone about this in different ways. So I joined the local golf course, a Boyne golf course, which is a great course. And so I'm playing golf and making friends through that. And Ali's joined different groups and has gone and done different events. And I'll kind of talk about some of the things that she's kind of done more specifically with that. But that has helped us to start to meet people and just have more of a sense of community. And I think when I reflect on the fact that we'd moved out of London for nearly 10 years, in all of that time, we really didn't find anything like we found up here in the first 6 months. And so, yeah, it's a real change. And even with the home educating, which again I'll get into in more detail, that has also been another way of us starting to meet people. And it's also been really wonderful to have family close by. So Ali has her mum and her sister up here who live about half an hour from us. And this is something, I mean, I haven't had any family nearby for 20-ish years since I moved from Sydney to the UK. And Ali had moved down to London around the same time that I moved over. So it's been sort of 20 years that she's lived away from family. And so it's been nice to be able to have some support, to be able to see Ramsay's nana and him getting to spend time with her and to have time with his cousins. And yeah, it's just nice to have this in our life in a way that it hasn't really been for a very long time. And yeah, I am constantly struck with the beauty of just being here. There is, I mean, about 20 minutes from where we are is the Cairngorms National Park. And there's just so much to go and see and do in there in terms of lovely walks and scenery, in terms of locks and places that you can swim. We had some friends over last week and found a place where we were kind of completely on our own. There was just the five of us, and there was a river that we were able to swim in with a little waterfall, and yeah, just like the most crystal clear, beautiful water that you could drink while swimming. And yeah, it does feel like no place I've been before. And so yeah, I'm constantly struck with the beauty of it. There's obviously incredible golf. I mean, Scotland is known for creating the sport, and I'm a very avid golfer, and so it's been really nice to be able to play a lot of golf. I've had some friends come up and we've played golf. When my folks were here, I was able to play golf with my dad, and yeah, just really loving all of the spaces and the areas that we can go to. We've also found from a food perspective, like really nice restaurants and cafes and places to go, and yeah, even more than where we had before. And given that where we were before, we were sort of an hour out of London, there was a lot higher population density, there was a lot more places you could go. We still didn't find the kinds of places that we've been able to find up here in a very short amount of time. We actually went for really one of the cafes that we found is a place called Tarmacan, and they do really nice food. And they also in the summertime they do a supper club, and it's like on the roof outside. The building that the cafe's in is owned by this architect who has created the most incredible space. And so yeah, we were able to have like delicious food outside, and we didn't have that even though we had that proximity to London. And so that's been really nice. We've really been making the most of the summertime. It doesn't get doesn't get dark here until very, very late at night. And so, yeah, recently we had friends up and we were having a barbecue, and at, I don't know, it must have been like 20 past 11, we were roasting marshmallows on a fire, and it is still completely light. We didn't have to have lights on outside or anything along those lines. And it's probably at this point, it's sort of fully dark by, I don't know, quarter to 12, midnight-ish, and then by sort of 3:30, it's kind of light again. So there's not a lot of darkness, but we've got some good blinds on our windows, and so it's not really having an effect on having like an inability to sleep. But we are going to bed a lot later and really making the most of the sunshine. And then even when it was wintertime, we were able to make the most of that as well. So yes, there would be a lot of darkness, but where we are is known as like a dark skies area. So it is incredible for looking at stars. And so many a night in winter, I would just walk outside and just look up for about 25 minutes, half an hour, and just be in awe of what I could see. And during the wintertime, we were able to go skiing, and really kind of got into just embracing the winter. Because I think the thing with being up here is it is a place that is going to have a lot of darkness, and it is going to have a real winter. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I'd enjoy the summers and then the rest of the year I'd be kind of like begrudging the fact that it's horrible weather. We really wanted to make the most of it. And there were days where it was very, very cold. It was like minus 15. And yet it was kind of beautiful blue skies. And so you put on enough layers and you could then go out and get to enjoy the scenery, even though it was very cold. And so I'm kind of just going on and on about it, but I am really happy that we have made this move, and really happy to be up here and in the place that we have. And it's been nice because of the place that we have is much bigger. There's lots of spare bedrooms, and so we've been able to have friends stay, come up here, and yeah, it just feels like there's a lot more opportunities that we have while being here. So I want to mention now kind of Ali, and I think if you had listened to the update last time, Ali had sort of fallen off her horse, and had torn her tricep from her elbow. And yeah, a lot of the podcast that what I was talking about was connected to that, because it had a really big impact on our life. And I'm pleased to report that she has made a full recovery and has complete movement in her arm and is back horse riding. And this is something, as I said earlier, is something that's a real passion of hers. So I'm really glad that she's back doing this, that she didn't let that injury stop her from doing something that she loves. And one of the things that she'd been doing prior to moving up here, right, when we lived in Surrey, she would go to a group called Singing Mamas. And this was not quite a choir, but it was like a singing group, and quite an informal singing group, where the real impetus behind it was about community and bringing women together who were at all stages of life. So you could come if you just had a kid, and you could bring the child along. It would have women who were older, and just a space for them to all sing together. There was tea and cake, of course, because that's what you do in the UK. But yeah, it was a place that she would go, and she would do it once a week. And she decided that when she moved up here that she wanted to continue on with that, and wanted to really create a place that she could keep up with the singing and create that community. And so she did the training for that, and has now kind of set up her own group up here, which she's been running for the last 6 or 7 weeks. And yeah, it's been really, really incredible to see what she's been able to do in that short amount of time, in terms of how confidently she's stepped into that role of being not just the participant and turning up to that group, but then being the leader and the organizer of the group, and learning songs and doing the songs with everyone. And so, yeah, I've been really inspired watching her do that. And it's really incredible to see. She also started, when we got up here, she found a company called Horseback UK, and what they do is equine therapy, and they do equine therapy with returned servicemen and vets. They do it with schools and with kids who are struggling. and she was, wanted to help out because she really liked what the organization was doing. And this is something that she's been doing now for many months since we've been up here, and it gave her an opportunity to work with horses, which is obviously something that she loves, but it also was a way for her to see horses being used in a way that is helping people's lives. And she definitely has a real passion in terms of work around healing and trauma and all of these kind of things. And so I think this was something that was great for her to get involved in and to still be involved in. And she's also done or is still doing her Kundalini yoga teacher training. And this is something that she personally has done for a number of years and has found it immensely beneficial for many reasons, from a physical standpoint in terms of helping her body, but mostly I would say, or largely, to do from a emotional standpoint, from a healing standpoint. And so this is something that she is then very passionate about and is something that she wanted to train in, and then not necessarily to be a teacher. Like, that may happen, that may not happen, but it was something that she just wanted to deepen her knowledge with and be something that she could potentially use in some way going forward. And so, that's something that she's been focusing on. And then the thing that probably, or not just probably, but the thing that does take up most of her time is that we home educate Ramsay. And so Rams is now, will be 6 in September. And so in theory, he was in an age, he would have gone to school or started school last September. But we just decided that actually home educating is the right thing for him. I've talked, I think it was on the previous podcast as well, about kind of some of the challenges that we face when we try to have him go to Forest Kindy and to be in that environment, and that he really kind of struggled and it just didn't work for him. And so as time went on, we just kind of came to the realization that at least for now, home educating would be the right thing for him, and the right thing really for our whole family. And so Ali is the one that is doing a lot of that, and is the one that's spending the majority of time with him connected to this. And look, he's in an age where learning is really about play, and it isn't sort of sitting down, and we're not trying to recreate school at home. We're trying to help him kind of learn and help him to love learning and help him to be curious and fascinated about the world and to ask questions. And we're able to do that through play. And so let me talk a little about Rams. As I said, he's nearly 6, and he has been thriving since we moved up to Scotland. I think it's been a really beneficial change for him, and I can't categorically say that it's Scotland, that developmental change wouldn't have taken place, and it's just the fact that he's older. But it definitely feels like there's been a shift in lots of things since he's been up here. One of the things that he kind of wasn't so into was kind of hanging out with other kids. He's just been of that way that he much prefers being with adults. He kind of struggles with being around, or struggled being around other kids. And so it was great that when we got up here, there was an opportunity for him to do ski lessons. There's a kind of dry ski slope that they were doing ski lessons on, and he said he would be up for doing that. And so as part of a home ed group, he participated, and there was 6 or 8 or 10 of them that were doing this each and every week, and he turned up and he was able to participate in doing that. And that was a huge change, because it wasn't something that was able to be done before. He did gymnastics. We went and there was a friend of Ali's. She's got a young daughter who's basically the same age as Rams, and she was doing gymnastics. So he went and watched her class, and he said, yeah, he would be up for doing that. And yeah, he then signed up, and we did a block of gymnastics where he was doing that every Saturday. And again, was in a large group, was having to learn how to be in that environment. And that was something that previously he would have been unable to do, and yet he was then able to. So a really big shift and a real kind of openness from him to try things and do things that wasn't there before. He has become most recently like very obsessed with golf. I think I first bought him some golf clubs when he was, I don't know, 3 or something. So it had been a while, and they'd kind of stuck around, and he really hadn't shown any interest in it, or a very passing interest in it. And then, yeah, one day we went to the driving range, and he joined me, and he just really enjoyed it. And he was like, can we go again? And so the next week we went again, and for the next handful of weeks we went, and pretty soon he was just asking constantly, like, can we play golf? Can we play golf? Can we play golf? And so we got a set of golf clubs, and he joined a local course. And I think in the first week of becoming a member there, he played 6 out of the 7 days, and he just absolutely adores it. And so every day he's going out and kind of hitting golf balls outside. We've got, as I said, we've got sort of 3.5, 4 acres, so there's plenty of places that he can go and swing a golf club and hit a golf ball. And he just adores it and just wants to kind of to do nothing but play golf. He's also started watching golf and knows all of the players, all of their history, what are things that they've won, like very, very into it. And so it's nice, and I'm very much encouraging this hobby. I'm obviously someone who loves golf, so it's nice to have someone that I can go and play with, and to see how excited he is about it, and to see that in a space of sort of 3.5 months, just how much he's developed with it, how good his hand-eye coordination is. But yeah, it's nice to see him have this real passion and hobby. And yeah, he's definitely gone through different phases with different things. And so I'm kind of seeing how long this will last for, if this is something that at some point he will kind of get bored with. But at least at this stage, it doesn't feel like it's going to change anytime soon. If anything, it's just becoming something that he's enjoying more and more. In terms of sort of the homemaking type side of things, as I said, it's very much about play, and it's very much child led, and so a lot of it, I mean, like for example, like we can sit down and play a game of Monopoly. And so as part of Monopoly, he's having to make decisions about what to buy, what to sell. We'll negotiate about properties. He originally had like the kids version of Monopoly, and then we got the adults version of Monopoly. He's then having to do the quick math in terms of working out how much things cost, and then having to get money out of the bank. And I think I've commented on the podcast before, like math is a real strength of his, and something that he really loves. And this is very, very evident when playing Monopoly, or in lots of other ways. And so that's kind of a lot of how the education is. It's like finding things that are fun, that he can then, where it just doesn't feel like it's school. And so he has a real interest in math. He has a real interest in science, in space, and learning all of those different things. He has an interest in languages, and so we've done Spanish on Duolingo, and he's kind of, that was something that really helped in terms of his ability to read. Like he taught himself to read through doing Duolingo Spanish, where he would kind of learn how to read both English and Spanish at the same time. And we play chess and checkers, and he's a very humbling thing to be beaten, because I think we started playing chess quite a while ago. I think he was still probably 4 at the time, or may have just turned 5. But yeah, a very humbling thing to be beaten by a 5-year-old at chess. And even recently, my dad was over here, and he's a pretty decent chess player, and he beat Rams in chess, and then they had another game, and Rams was able to beat him in chess. And so yeah, he kind of really enjoys that kind of like logic and kind of figuring those things out. I would definitely describe him as an autodidact, in that he's very much self-taught and wants to be self-taught. He's finally agreed that he will have some golf lessons, but up until this point, he was just like, no, I will figure it out on my own. I will learn how to do this myself. I don't want someone telling me how to do something. And that even with chess, like I originally showed him how to play chess, and we had a couple of games, and then there would be times where he would just sit down and he would play chess against himself, or he'd set up one of his dolls and he'd play chess against one of his dolls, where he's doing both of them, or the same with checkers. And so it's been great just seeing how he's progressing and has progressed over this time. And he also has got a lot better with being around other kids. And this is something that we've worked on, and worked on at a pace that's been right for him. So going to, like, if I think back maybe a year ago or a while ago, like going to the park and spending time at the park when there was not too many people there, and spending time there until I could see that it was becoming too much, and then we would leave, or there would be too many people that turned up, and so it was okay, let's just go now. But by doing it in a way that has been slow and appropriate for him, yeah, there's been a real change. And we were at the beach, which may sound strange to be at the beach in Scotland, but it was a truly beautiful day. Blue sky, was warm. I had my first swim in the North Sea, and it was pleasant. It was definitely colder than what I was used to, but it was a really nice swim. But anyway, we were there with someone who we just met through the home ed community, and she was there with her two daughters. I think they were 4 and 5, or 5 and 6, and it was just really nice to see that within a short amount of time, Rams was playing with them, and that they were enjoying kind of just being together and playing little games, and again, something that was just not on the cards that long ago. And so, yeah, I can just see within him there is this increased resilience, this increased ability to manage and handle emotions. And it is, yeah, it's been a long time coming, but yeah, we've made really big, and he's made really big strides with all this. And it's for me, it's been really enjoyable to have this bond with him, because really for the first, 4.5 years, he didn't want a lot to do with me. Like I was definitely, Ali was his absolute number one. And if she was around, he would really want to be doing stuff with her, and didn't really want to be interacting with me often. And I would, in terms of like cuddles or anything physical, it was always a very big no. If I'd say, hey, can I have a hug, or can I give you a cuddle? It would be a no, and he would mean that, and I would respect that. Whereas now that has very much changed, and he loves hanging out with me in a lot of ways. I'm now the number one. He is very open to us having a hug or a kiss, which is really lovely. Like it's something that I've kind of waited for a long time, and so I'm very grateful that has now shifted. We've definitely got the bond over sport and golf, and both kind of watching sport and playing it. And yeah, just the ability to like for Ali to go away, for her to go away as part of the yoga teacher training. There's been 3 occasions so far where she's been away for a week, and previously that would have been, if not impossible, a really big challenge, and there would have been lots of big emotions coming out beforehand and then after she got back, and now that doesn't happen. We've been able to have some really nice time together. And so it does feel like he's kind of entered this new phase and feels more grown up, and there's just less stress and chaos than there was before. And it was great. I mean, we had my parents over recently, and we had some friends staying with us recently, and he just really enjoyed having them around and being with them and interacting with them. And so kind of onto me, like, as I said, I'm absolutely adoring being up in Scotland and the life we have here. It does in so many ways feel like life is easier than it has been in a really long time. And I'm kind of constantly grateful and kind of reminding myself of how much things have changed, and to really appreciate the difference, because I think as things change slowly, you can kind of forget, but I am very, very aware of how different life is now than it was 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago. I had my parents come over here recently, and this was the first time I'd seen them in the flesh since the very beginning of 2020. Being from Australia, there was obviously very tough lockdowns and inability to kind of go and visit, and it's just been a really long time since I'd seen them. And so they were over here for three weeks. I think they were with us for nearly 3 weeks. They had a week in London first, and then had a week in Paris before going back home. But it was really, really nice to have them here. Prior to the pandemic, they were getting over here at least once a year. I mean, my mum was coming over kind of up to 3 times a year, and I always just love being able to spend time with them. I have a really good relationship with my parents. I love being able to have in-depth conversations with them. It was just much more challenging to be able to do that via Zoom over the last handful of years. And so to be able to have them here, I was really, really grateful for that. We got glorious weather the whole time they were here. I don't think it rained for the entirety of the time they were here. And so yeah, we got to sort of show them Scotland at its absolute best. We had time here. We then went to the West Coast, which is really, really beautiful. It kind of, I mean, I've never been to New Zealand, but my parents kept saying that it reminds them a lot of New Zealand and how beautiful it is over there. And so yeah, I got to go to the West Coast. We went to a place called Dumfries House, which they'd been wanting to go to for many years. And I didn't know anything about it, but there's obviously been TV shows made about it that they watched. And it's a property that was bought at the time, a property that was bought by, at the time he was Prince Charles, but he's now King Charles. And it was then redone up and restored, and it has incredible gardens and all of this old furniture made by a guy called Chippendale, who I knew absolutely nothing about, but is worth an absolute fortune because there's so few of them. And so, yeah, it was lovely to go and be able to kind of spend time there and enjoy the grounds and enjoy the food and everything that was on offer there. And so, yeah, I had a really wonderful time with them. And I'm looking forward to this being a more regular thing of us getting back into the routine of them being here much more regularly than they have been. I've been doing therapy for the last year or when did I start it? I kind of probably started about a year ago, and then there was a period where it kind of stopped while we were dealing with everything with the house and moving, and then kind of started up again maybe in February time, and have been doing it pretty consistently since then, whether that's every week or every other week. And I've been finding it a really huge help in a lot of ways, getting me to be focusing on a lot of the stuff that I work on with clients in terms of sitting with emotions and dealing with the uncomfortableness of emotions, and talking about different aspects of my life or things connected to my childhood or my relationship. And it's been something that is well overdue, and I wish in many ways that I'd done it earlier, but it's been really helpful, and really helpful in terms of my relationship with Ali, really helpful in terms of me being the kind of parent that I want to be, and being able to deal with the difficulty of being a parent, and all of the challenges that brings up. I think it's helped me in terms of how I am with clients, and creating the space for them, and helping them to navigate difficult thoughts and feelings and emotions. And it's something that I will continue on with, and I imagine I will now, given how I'm noticing how helpful it is, that I will continue to get coaching and therapy in some form, I would say, indefinitely. And so, I think that has been a really helpful thing for me. I did a number of programs with Laura Schoenfeld. So Laura, I had on the podcast many years ago, and she trained as a dietitian, and has now moved into like helping other businesses and practitioners to grow their business and scale their business, and kind of more in that sort of coaching other coaches type realm. And so I did a couple of her courses, one in December time and another in the February time, and I found them to be really helpful, and it's part of the impetus, or part of the help that I needed to then take my one-on-one stuff and then turn it into a program. And so a number of weeks ago, I launched the Fundamentals of Full Recovery, that program, and I've been running that ever since. And I'm really loving doing this, like doing the group coaching, or doing a program that is sort of one-to-many as opposed to just one-to-one. And I absolutely adore the one-to-one work. It is something I'm really passionate about, and I think I'm very good at that work. And it's really, I feel very blessed that I'm able to do that work in this world, and see the transformations that people make. And I also realize that it's limiting in terms of how many people I can help and how the business can scale. And so I'm really grateful to Laura, and grateful for the fact that I've done those programs, and that it's now helping me to take the business in a different direction. And I think with time, this is where I'm going to be doing more things, more opportunities that are one-to-many as opposed to just one-to-one, with lots of different ideas in mind with this. I've realized that this year I'm kind of reading a lot less, and reading books a lot less. And I was actually thinking about this recently, of like, my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen when I get to the end of the year in terms of doing that favorites podcast, because there's not a lot that I've got to report at this point. But I just feel like I've been reading less, and then just been doing more things, whether that is playing golf, or being with Rams, or being with friends. Reading is just not been taking up the time that it had been previously. And then the final thing that I want to mention is that I'm actually getting back on social media. And when I say getting back on social media, I mean for a business perspective. It's probably been nearly 2 years or somewhere in that vicinity since I came off social media. And I really don't like a lot of what is going on social media. For me as an individual, I don't want to be spending time on Facebook and Instagram, etc. But I'm seeing how helpful it can be from a business perspective, and how helpful it can be in terms of helping me in my mission of wanting to serve and help more people. And so I'm going to be getting back on and posting more and using it as a way of interacting and distributing content and information and helpful ideas. And so I will put a link in the show notes to where I am on social media. It's really going to be Facebook and Instagram, and the handles for both of those is 7 Health Company. And so you can, if you're not already following, you can go there and start following. And if you are, you will then start to see content coming out, which hasn't happened for a long time. But yeah, I feel I can be able to put out content and use them in a way that I'm also feeling will be healthy for me, because I didn't before feel that social media was helping me in any way, and I felt that it wasn't leading in the direction that I wanted it to. But I feel in a much better place to be able to do that. And so yeah, keep an eye out for that stuff. And if you're not already following, then start to. So that is it for this week's episode. As I mentioned at the top, I've opened, or I'm going to be opening my practice to new clients starting next week. If you want to reach a place of full recovery and see a complete change in your quality of life, then I would love to help. So please send an email to info@7-health.com with the subject line coaching, and then I can send over further details and we can have a recovery strategy call. As I said at the top, I only have 7 slots available, and it is likely that this is going to be the last time I take on clients this year, or take on new clients this year. So if you want this, then please get in contact. The address again is info@7-health.com. So that is it. I will be back next week with another episode. Take care, and I will catch you then.